All right, and here we go. We got the Boxer on the bottom. Looks like they did switch up their. Well, they got their shift deck here, so they got a bunch of shift here. They got three one drop shift units, and then a shift tremor shock around 4.
Look at this start. Cloak of Moments into Displacer Octodon, and then this turn they're going to get to play two crooked alley guides and be able to hold up Mob Rule, and that's a banner on top, meaning that his Tremor Shocker is coming down next.
Now, interesting about shift. So the way that shift works is you put your units down for usually a cheaper cost. I guess not always, but in this case, a cheaper cost. Now, they cannot be targeted by the opponent. So they cannot be killed with removal spells. They cannot be targeted with weapons. But after 3 turns, they will basically be free to be targeted, free to attack, free to block, and they're actually unblockable that turn. So you're going to get in a little bit of free chip damage here, pay your units for cheaper, but the Boxer is going to take a couple turns without really doing anything from a damage standpoint.
I mean, if you just count up all this unblocked damage, that's 9 plus 5, that's 14. So that's already more than half the life total. It's not going to take a ton more for the Boxer to... Oh, wait, I forgot about the cloak buff. So that's 17 damage?
Even more, yeah.
18 damage? Yeah.
That is true. Now, it is important to note that when your shift, as we see right here, when your shift unit does come off of shift, it is able to be targeted. So if your opponent has something to do on your turn when they attack, they can target it with that.
And the Boxer not wasting any time with the Mob Rule, taking down the Grandin with Bear Arms immediately, and I agree with that.
We have seen a lot of respect for Bear Arms out of these players tonight.
Well, there aren't a ton of unconditional removal spells in the format, so just a very large unit can be difficult to do.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. That's 8 unblocked damage right there. And it's already down to 17 with, 7 and 4, 11 more unblocked damage coming through in a couple turns.
Well, the Boxer's going to take a huge hit here. This is going to be 8, dropping them down to... Well, okay, I guess it could have been 8. But the Boxer dropping down to 11, that is kind of low. I think the Boxer might think about pumping the brakes with blocks.
Yeah, and they actually warp the mining team, and they don't shift it. They play it out for the 4. Well, the first one, and then they see another one on top. Ooh, Muck Crawler. But they play it out for 4, presumably to have a blocker there. And they actually keep both 4/4s back as well.
Here's a Scavenge, which is a lot low, and that's the concession. Oh.
Of course, those rats cannot block. That was a little bit of a quick concession. But yeah, there was going to be even more unblocked damage coming in, as we talked about. So
yeah, from that standpoint, it's hard to envision a sequence of draws where the FireBee wins, especially with all the units coming off of shift for the Boxer dealing the evasive. So, I mean, maybe it was just a very good draw, but that looked like that worked very smoothly for the Boxer.
That did work very smoothly. Now, like you said, that was a little bit of a good draw. He got a lot of the shift units out as he needed, but that's what that deck's trying to do. That's why you build it that way. And looks like we're about to go down to game 2.
Yeah, looks like another great hand from the Boxer.
Another great hand, absolutely. A little bit of the more expensive shift units, the mining team being a 2/2 that shifts for 2, but still pretty powerful.
But on this turn alone, the Boxer is going to be able to shift a mining team and a nimble conscript.
Ooh, and then an outfitter on top. So outfitter has shift, but it also pumps all your other units.
Yeah, I was a bit skeptical when I saw this deck list from the Boxer and the Doc shoot, I forget the number, but it's really coming together. This is putting out a lot of damage in a hurry.
Now, interestingly, we talked about the three different colored decks here, but haven't had too much trouble so far. Having all 3 colors available to them. Both players.
It's true. I don't think that it's so much that the powers, like, you can't get the influence, that just comes into play depleted more often than not. But when you're playing so many cheap units, the banners come into play undepleted, and that's a huge deal.
That's true. Oh, there we go. The bear arms on the cat. And then a Workshop Tinker, a 2/2 with Endurance that summons you may discard a card to create and draw a Tinker, which they did not do.
The Boxer is only going to have 2 blockers back this next turn, and the 2 of them combined, do they deal with the 7/6? Yeah, I guess they do.
Looks like they're considering attacks. I mean, they're attacking with both. They kind of have to play this to block here because they're taking a lot of damage coming back.
Doesn't this have to chump block the 7/6?
Oh, look at this Blaze!
It's gotta be the game, right?
And that's, I mean, even if it's not this turn, it will be. Yeah, that's game this turn. That was quick. And as we see the power of Bear Arms, and you can see why the players have respected Bear Arms so much and firing off removal as soon as an opponent put it on, when it's unchecked, it won the game.
I wonder what would have happened if the Boxer held back with the mining team.
Yep, that's possible there. Before they played the Bear Arms, it didn't seem like they were as far behind as they really were. But as soon as that Bear Arms landed, the game changed very quickly.
Yeah, and how many people would have guessed that Blaze is a card that's showing up in this tournament? It wasn't even played that widely in the draft format that it was in. But here we are seeing it. Remove a blocker to be able to swing.
Absolutely. And the Boxer leading off with Muttcrawler. So this is a 1/1 for 1, but it gets +2 when you have a shifted unit, which the Boxer has a lot of. So most often, this is probably going to be a 3/3 for 1.
Here we might be seeing the first... Oh, I was about to say that the Boxer might be running into influence trouble, but we see
there's a torch on the
Muttcrawler in order to start shifting out those tremor.
It did. That was a good double time draw. And actually, talking about the influence, that was one distinction I was going to make from those of you familiar with Magic. One of the key differences in Magic is you actually have to tap those lands, so you actually have to use all of the time. But in Eternal, it's different. Once you get that influence, you can use that influence on all of the things on all of the spells you cast, on everything you play. So it applies across the board. So it actually makes playing 3 colors or splashing things a little bit easier because once you get the influence, you have it for everything.
And a heck of a lot more fun. There's nothing more frustrating than playing Magic and being stuck off a color, and then when you finally get that color, only being able to deploy 1 card a turn if you've stockpiled cards of that color. Anyway, I'll stop my all right, so there's a 5/5 Thorn Beast. That's pretty scary.
That is pretty scary. And a 4/3 bully. Another situation where the Boxer has some early shift, but is actually behind a little bit here. Might not have time to get as aggressive with the shift units as they want to.
Yeah. This is an interesting line from the Boxer. Still doesn't have a great answer for that 5/5. I wouldn't have been surprised to see the Stone Scar Outfitter played there in order to double block that 5/5. That gets blown out by the Torch.
Yeah, and the Torch takes out the Crooked Alley guy, leaving really a chump blocker and not much else on the Boxer side.
So the Boxer's going to be able to play Stone Scar Outfitter for full cost in order to block this turn. But then
what? Yeah. And they're actually going to play out the Nimble Conscript to block this turn. A better blocker at a 3/4. But
yeah,
Rats
do you
from
even
FireBee
attack
side.
your FireBee? I guess so.
Yeah, I think
attacks down the Boxer.
yeah, I think you have to attack there. There's just you're so far ahead. You got to push through that damage, and you're at 20. You're at 22. I mean, you're at 22 on the back end. What are they going to do?
Yeah. That was a good decision. So the Boxer with an interesting strategy and had a great draw in game 1, but in games 2 and 3 just couldn't block because the Boxer's units were shifted, and FireBee took advantage of that and just pushed through damage until the game